Welcome to my YouTube channel, One Race, Human Race, All Human. Today is Sunday, May 15th, 2022. We must actively teach agape love, concern, compassion for all people everywhere. For there's one race, and that is the human race. We're all children of God.
Need counseling. The children need counseling. Buffalo needs counseling. We've got to pray for Buffalo, but we've got to bring Buffalo together as one and our nation as a whole.
New York Attorney General Letitia James, thank you so much for spending a couple of minutes with me. Let me bring in now global civil rights activist and leader Martin Luther King III. Thank you for joining me. We are 7 years out from the massacre at Mother Emanuel in Charleston, South Carolina, and there have been several race-based, not just the black community. I remember being at the Walmart in El Paso, where that shooter targeted the Latino community as well. These mass shootings based on race. Has it gotten worse over the last 7 years?
I do not have the statistical data in front of me, but first, my condolences to all of the families who've lost loved ones. But it certainly feels like it has gotten worse. We have chosen as a society, it seems, to embrace a culture of violence and a culture of hatred. And all that, we've got to learn, in my judgment, we may have to embrace a culture of nonviolence. We don't do that. We don't believe yet in showing the value of nonviolence. I think my father and his team, my mother throughout her life, tried to show us how to live together without destroying personal property. It doesn't mean we won't have disagreements, but when it gets to the level of this level of hatred that is unacceptable, everyone needs to be speaking out about this, saying this is wrong, this should not happen. And unfortunately, not enough voices are being heard about this tragedy and these tragedies that keep happening. And unfortunately, tragically, this probably will not be the last one.
Speaking of voices, we learned from this manifesto, this focus on the great replacement theory, this political conspiracy theory that immigrants are brought in specifically to replace white people in this country. This used to be something on the fringes. It's now something that is spoken by members of Congress, by high-profile media figures as well. How do you push back on that, refute that this is not just in the corners, or as Governor Hochul said today, in a hole somewhere? This is on primetime television.
Yeah, again, that's exactly what I think everyone is being saying. Now, the way that you push back is you bring community together. The sad part is we will work, and people in Buffalo will be working on, in a sense, coming together for a long time. But we cannot forget these incidents. We have to constantly be talking about it. And then we have to talk about something else in our society: love, forgiveness, healing. We are a sick nation in need of psychological and all kind of counseling. And we're dysfunctionally functional, and yet we've not accepted that. We think we're fine. We are not. We are a sick nation in need of great help. And that means that from the school system, we have to start teaching people in a different way. And it's not critical race theory that people are making an issue of, and this separatism. Somehow we've got to come together. It's interesting, we can go out of space, maybe go to Mars, certainly go to the moon, and yet we have not conquered how to live together as brothers and sisters, as a human family. That's what we need to be focusing on, and now is beyond the time for us to get focused.
There is one detail, as awful as all of the elements of this event are, there is one that sticks with me. It is that in the video that was posted or live streamed as it happened on this site Twitch, on the end of the gun, the N-word is there written. I wonder when you heard that, saw that, read that, what went through your mind, that this was the gun that was used to target black people and that the N-word was there on it?
the first thing that went through my mind is, beyond this being terrible, is again, there is a huge sickness. This is being programmed. The problem is we can't reach and define exactly where it's being programmed. They're reporting that this young man came out of a family that did not show that racial behavior existed in this way. But it is being programmed on social media, all of these platforms and channels. And as I say, enough is enough. America has to wake up and respond universally, not one community, but all communities, because this is happening, of course, with the black community significantly, happening with the brown community, happening with the Asian community, happening with the Jewish community. We all have got to come together and fight in a constructive way and not a destructive way. Destructiveness is what is destroying our society. Dad would say mankind or humankind has to learn nonviolence, or we may face non-existence.
Yeah, I've done this, covered these mass shootings, standing in front of a grocery store focused on black people, a church focused on black people, a synagogue focused on Jews, a nightclub that targeted gays, a Walmart targeting Hispanics, and this has happened over and over again in our country, and you make the point that we have to figure this out and come together. Martin Luther King III, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me. And there's something that the Attorney General, Letitia James, Jim, said that she learned about the victims of this shooting. And we got some details from New York State Senator Tim Kennedy, in which the son of one of his staffers worked here, 20-year-old Zaire Goodman, who was shot in the neck by the suspect, the shooter, the bullet exited through the back, went to the hospital, he survived, and now has returned home. So just one of the stories of the people who were targeted here yesterday. Jim?
It's just horrific, Victor, and you're absolutely right to point out how this keeps happening over and over again in this country. Buffalo now joining just an awful, sad club of other cities to experience this racism-fueled violence. It's just terrible. Victor, thanks so much for that reporting there on the scene in Buffalo. We'll get back to you soon. Thanks so much.
Sure.
Coming up, breaking news ahead of Pennsylvania's high-stakes Senate primary. Democratic candidate and for Senate and current Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman suffers a stroke. What we're learning about his condition. That's next.
Love is the answer. Coming together is the answer. The oneness of all humanity is the answer. And let us pray for Brother Fetterman, who's an excellent candidate for Pennsylvania United States Senate.